Hey everyone, this is Chad. Some of you may already know what I'm about to share, but I also know many of you won't. And in the spirit of transparency, I want to fill you in. As we mentioned in a previous episode, my family have been navigating a serious health journey. Back in April, my partner Heidi was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. The months that have followed have been incredibly challenging. Diagnoses, treatments, reactions, setbacks, and so much more. And sadly, in early July, my wonderful partner Heidi passed away. She was the most loved and loving person that I've ever known. My heart is broken in ways I didn't know possible. And life has changed in every way imaginable. Heidi is the reason I am who I am. Without her, there is no me. For my entire adult life, it's been Chad and Heidi, Heidi and Chad. And now I face a future where the people I meet may only know me without her. And that thought is truly haunting and hard to reckon with. In an effort to keep her memory close, and with Steve's blessing, I've included the tribute I shared at Heidi's memorial at the end of this episode. Heidi was adamant that we continue this podcast. She was so proud of the work we do, which is just an incredible testament to her and what an incredible ally she was. Even in the middle of her treatment, she pushed me out of her hospital room to go record with Steve and to host our first ever live shows together. Today's episode was recorded back in April, early days in her treatment. The live show episodes, there will be 2 of them, were recorded back in June, and Steve and I will be back recording new episodes soon. For now, gosh, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you to those who have reached out with support and kindness. It's truly meant a lot. Here is today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Give It To Me Bye.
Today, my brain is apparently not working because it's taken us 5 takes to get to this, but we are diving back into some more bisexual myths today and some bisexual questions, but we are going into the nitty-gritty. We'll tackle everything from the idea that bisexuality disappears with age to those notions as well that bi people owe you a detailed dating resume.
We've got some really juicy topics lined up today. Why do so many bi couples on dating apps only swipe right for women? And what's with the claim that bisexuality causes mental health issues when it's really the stigma and erasure that do the damage?
Plus, we're sharing a few highlights from some recent news and our little updates. Things like the Rainbow Election Forum. We've got an election on here in Australia. Some thoughts on The White Lotus Season 3, and even announcing officially our very first live show recording, so don't miss that.
Whoa! So get comfy and join us as we dig into the facts, the fun, and the questions that challenge those pesky bisexual myths. This is Give It To Me Bye, and we're giving it to you. Bye! This is Give It To Me Bi, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything from a bi plus perspective. Now, let us give it to you bi.
Give It To Me Bi acknowledges that we live and work on Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. Sovereignty was never ceded. Give it to me bi, give it to me bi, boom, 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 boom.
Bum, 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 bum. I love that. Little bit of a trombone. Wom, 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 bum, boom, bum, boom, bum, boom.
I'll be walking with people, Chad, and I'll be like, I wish I had my trombone, because they'll be like, a duck. Oh, no, a goose, because when I walk through Centennial Park, there are lots of geese and they waddle around. I'm like, I wish I had a trombone in this moment so that I could narrate them musically.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, Chad, I think we officially have brain rot.
You know what? When I was in high school, I was a little chubby kid, and people would do that as I'd walk past.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there you go. Bum, 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 bum. And yeah, I mean, we've seen it before. Steve, if it's okay with you, I would like to take a brief moment at the start of this episode just to say a really wholehearted thank you to everyone who listens to this podcast, who engages with us on social media, through our Facebook group or otherwise. I shared on the last episode, at the top of the episode, that we, as a family, have been experiencing a really challenging time. My partner is facing some really serious health matters at the moment, and it's been an extremely challenging time and hard to find a second just to pause, let alone to do all this stuff that we love to do for you guys and for us and what really fills our cup. And sharing that, and then sharing a little bit more in detail and specifics in the Facebook group last week, I was met with just only love and only kindness and generosity from all of you. And it just, if I don't move forward through this, I'm going to burst out crying. And I have multiple times about it. And so thank you for turning up for me. I love you, and thank you for turning up for Steve and having patience while we navigate all of this. We truly have the best listeners and the best community. So thank you, and let's dig into the episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, we love you, Chad. We are all here for you and Heidi and the family. You've got everyone behind you, barracking for you.
Thanks, my love. So today we had, again, like it's a bit of a challenging mental space for me at the moment. So I haven't been able to research topics and keep Steve up to date of recording schedules. So we thought it could be fun to revisit a topic we've done before, but dig a little bit further. So one of our more popular episodes is the Bi Myths and Questions episodes. This is where we answer all the kind of stereotype kind of questions and myths, but also dig into some specifics that people have. Previously, people have submitted questions and we didn't get to all of them, so we've pulled some questions from that as well. But we've also searched around the internet for different specific questions to shed a bit of light on. But before we dig into all of those things, we've got some updates and bylights. If you're new to the podcast, bylights are our weekly, usually, by highlights. At the moment, it's monthly.
Yes. Bylights. It's a mix of bi and highlight.
Yeah.
Who knew that bisexuals were good at puns?
Guys, she'd get there eventually. We knew it.
she did indeed get there.
So, I mean, I've been busy with non-bi things. And so, Steve, what have you been up to? What's the latest news?
So last night I attended the Rainbow Election Forum. It was put on by some of Australia's largest queer organisations like Equality Australia, Health Equity Matters. And we had a number of speakers represented by the major parties and one independent. So we had the Labor Party, Liberal Party, Greens, and then Allegra Spender from...
I love that. Oh my God. Yes.
No, why doesn't anyone else break into song when they hear Allegra Spender?
I will be now. And oh my gosh,
right?
Referencing one of my favorite musicals. So great job.
Thank you. See, you are a good influence on me, Chad. So the Rainbow Election Forum was to bring the main questions forward from our community to these political leaders who were present last night. And there were some amazing questions, Chad.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my gosh.
Give us some examples.
Yeah. So we had an intersex person speak about intersex discrimination and invisibility, and it's just themes that are so relevant to us as well, but then also so unique to the intersex community.
Particularly because they've just been left out of the census conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, which we were busy celebrating because we were included. And at the same time, the intersex community have been left out.
And I know what it's like to be in a room full of people cheering. I was cheering. I'm just like, yes, we were included, but then, such a disappointment that intersex people have been left out.
Yeah.
More than a disappointment, that's an understatement. We had Teddy Cook, who will be a future guest on the pod.
We love Teddy.
Ask an incredible trans question for the community. Just really grounded in wanting to be seen as whole individuals and as not sort of a movement. Then also really contextualizing it in this crazy shift in the discourse, the political footballing, the scapegoating, the horrible transphobia that's happening across the world and in Australia.
If anyone could, Teddy's the person for it. Teddy does incredible work. If there's any good works happening for the community, Teddy's name is at the bottom of that piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I believe someone we know was asking a question as well last night. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was privileged enough to be one of the 6 questioners, and I was there to represent people living with HIV. So I asked them if they would commit to ending HIV transmissions and ending HIV stigma and discrimination.
Oh, wow. Great question.
Yeah, that was really great. A little tempered with a little bit of disappointment. There was nothing brought up about bi+ issues.
Colour me shocked, Steve. Colour me shocked.
I know. There was a question about like the national LGBTIQ+ health strategy, but again, we know that when we throw everyone into one cohort, we ignore the unique needs of each. Yeah, it would have been good to highlight. Yeah, and I think it'll come in time. Or it will. It has to come in time because you can't deny demographics, all the statistics. But hopefully, there'll be some more political movement about the bi+ mental health crisis.
Yeah, it's interesting.
About discrimination. Yeah,
I feel like in a lot of these different forums, there is starting to become a baseline awareness and maybe inclusion is the wrong word, but like a peripheral inclusion of the bisexual issue. So the host of last night's forum was Courtney Act. Courtney Act is a very famous drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, also a number of other reality TV, incredible performer, is pansexual. Yourself asking about the HIV question, bisexual, pansexual. Teddy Cook, who is, again, one of the most visible trans people in the country doing really good works, bisexual. Like, we're in the rooms, but it's still the conversation needs a shift, or like some intentionality of the programmers, the people putting on the events, the people curating conversations to allow space for it. Which is why I love when we turned up at some of these meetings with ministers and stuff recently, they go, "Oh, it's the first time I've heard about it." It's like, cool. Well, you'll continue to hear about it because we're going to make sure that at the next election forum, and then the next one, that this is on the table, not we've never heard of that before, so we can't ask it.
Yeah. And also something else I'm noticing, a couple of years ago or a few years ago, people wouldn't even think to consider bi+ issues. Whereas last night when I brought up, there were no bi+ questions, like, with what we know, like that's quite surprising. And people agreed. They're like, "Oh, you're right. Oh, that wasn't a little bit of an oversight, wasn't it?" And that wouldn't have happened a couple of years ago. People would have gone, "Why would they be?"
Yeah.
And now they're agreeing. They're saying, "Oh, you're right. That is an oversight." Yeah. So we just have to get to that next step of getting the question in.
Yeah, it's nice to zoom out to a bit of a macro view. It's frustrating as heck to not see the thing not getting the win. If you're looking at it in binary terms of win and not win, but there is movement. There is progress happening. Certainly. And it could be really disheartening to not get the tick on the board. But if you break it down into more micro kind of steps, there is movement, and we should all be encouraged to keep talking, keep asking, keep knocking on doors, and doing our business, really.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Steve, you went to Bali. Tell us about your Bali trip.
I did. It was wonderful. So, we booked 10 days away.
Yes.
So this is me and my partner, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. I love that. That's the thing now. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Hey, girl. It was incredible. We booked 10 days away. And I was like, I don't think I've ever gone on a holiday for longer than 5 days. Just because,
really?
I work for myself and I have a lot on and everything. So I'm just like, I don't like to be away for 5 days.
The work for yourself thing is tricky.
Yeah, it's flexibility with a chain on.
Mm.
And he was just like, well, you can stay for 5 days. I'm staying for 10. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go.
Nice.
And
how did you feel? Were you anxious about it?
I learned a little, but I really learned how to relax. It's the first time I've relaxed in like 18 months.
Oh my, yeah, baby.
Like, I needed to chill out. And especially after the summer, like having the cut and everything. And I ate everything in sight. I just had pancakes and waffles and Indonesian food. You would order takeaway and get like boxes and boxes and boxes of takeaway food for $30 Australian. Like you can feed 10 people on $30.
And this is what prompted you to bulk, right? Because you would say, well, I'm here. Let's do it.
Yeah, the bulk came earlier than expected. So I'm like, well, we're on that train now. We barely did anything cultural. We just fell in love every hour of every day and just spent time with each other. Yeah, it was really, really
I love
beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't want it to end. We kept it going as well. It's like a holiday is like a baptism of fire, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. You got to know that you can travel with someone, I reckon. Even if you never do it ever again, it's a nice we negotiate time and space and priorities well.
Exactly. And especially because we don't live with each other yet, you know, having that 10 days away. I think we said at the beginning, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? Like this is the make or break.
Yeah.
And
you two are both very considerate, thoughtful people that I know of.
Yeah. And it worked really well. It was beautiful. We're going to move in together soon.
Cute. That's fun news. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Come live near me. I know that you won't, but do it.
No, we won't. I'm trying to drag him out of Bondi. Yeah. Surrey Hills is far west for him. It may as well be Parramatta.
Yeah. I'm not going to Bondi for anyone. Even Chris. Sorry, babe.
Oh my God.
That's so funny. We're so excited. This June, it's finally been announced. It's live in the world. Qtopia has announced Sydney Pride Fest. So all the other states have Pride Arts and Culture Fest outside of like a party thing, which a lot of Mardi Gras is. We've got Melt Festival. We've got Midsummer. Sydney hasn't really had one before. And so last year, Qtopia did their Pride Fest, which is about, 30, 50 events in a month. This year, they have announced it's like 100 events. Like it's crazy in maybe more. I think it's more than 100 in a month. We are officially kicking off on the first day with our double-headed night called Big Bi Night.
Big Bi Night.
We're very excited. This is going to be a live episode taping, so you can come along. You can be a part of the episode because there will be audience interaction and questions, all that kind of stuff, and we'll be you could be on the Spotify feed, I guess.
Yeah.
It's going to be super fun. I've been talking to a friend. They said, I need to work in some costume changes, make it cunty and fun. And then after that, we're actually going to host a really fun Big Bi panel. So asking the questions of the time to a bunch of wonderful bi thought leaders and thinkers and all that kind of stuff. So we're so pumped. It's kind of like it's a next thing, a milestone, I feel, for us. And it's kind of kicked off a bit of thinking about all the other things we want to do.
Well, I think spoiler alert, everyone, we are probably going on a Give It To Me Bi live tour around Australia, effectively. We've got a few more events in our sites. I don't think we're going to give it all away yet.
No, we won't. None of it's announced or confirmed yet, but
none of it's announced or confirmed, but everyone, if you are in Australia, we may be near you very soon.
I love this. But the big thing to say is that tickets are super limited. Like it's not a massive venue. We're not playing an arena. So if you want to come along, you have to get tickets like right now. I'll put links in the show notes and actually I'll send an email, all that kind of stuff. Follow us on socials. It'll be sold out super quick. So if you want to come along, make sure you grab a ticket. You can come to one or both events. One or both. And it's a discounted ticket if you come to both events. It's all on the same night, same location. We can't wait. We're so fucking excited.
And I'm encouraging audience heckling, everyone.
Yeah,
So-
Steve wants to turn this into a big, messy recording that we can't publish elsewhere.
Rowdy. I want it to be rowdy because it's like you're not just going to come along and watch us sit there and talk to ourselves. It is going to be an event. Like this is going to be an event.
Sorry, I don't know why I just took a bite of a protein bar. It's so rude.
I fully encourage that behavior, Chad.
I got to get it in. I'm not eating much at the moment.
You got to get it in. That's what I said. All right. And we are working currently. We're about to submit our next Star Observer article. Of course, we have a monthly article in the Star Observer magazine, Australia's oldest running LGBTIQ plus publication. And we are doing an election-ish column. And Chad, how did you feel writing up your notes on it?
Yeah, good. I feel like every month I kind of go, oh, we need to do this. I mean, I feel like we always get to it a little bit later than we probably need to. I always get up to that date and going, oh, what do we want to say? There's so much going on, or my brain is foggy, or whatever it might be. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? And then usually that morning, 3 things will pop up. Either we have a conversation, or one of us will share something with one another, or a big thing happens in the news. It's like, that's it. That's what we're going to talk about. And the cool thing is, trying to tie all those kind of themes and through lines together into one thing, because I think it's nice to have an overall theme, but that has different kind of touch points for different types of audiences, different types of people and readers. And we've done a little bit of the intro of who are we, what are we about, and now we're kind of getting into like, cool, this is what the community needs, and this is how you can turn up for the community, or community, this is how you can turn up for yourselves, and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's starting to resonate. I feel like a lot of people are starting to find us through that column, and they're getting fired up about it. And there's almost no content, maybe actually at all, bi-specific in Australia on these issues, except for us, or perhaps some other like local matters, like some of the community groups. So it's nice to kind of prioritize our community voice for the community. I know it feels like a weird opportunity / obligation and responsibility.
It is a big responsibility. Yeah. I mean, we're the bisexual voice in Australia's oldest running and largest publication for the queer community. So it is a huge responsibility. But sorry, I should have asked my question more specifically. How are you feeling writing the notes for this specific topic? Because you, Chad, like, I could feel the passion coming through you reading the notes on this. It was so wonderful to read. You will all be able to read it online or in print when election time comes around, and when we are forced to sort of assess, like, how are we being dealt with at this huge level? And because often something we talk about so often here is about funding specifically for bi+ people, and really that starts at government, and the government is decided on election day, and it is really just such an important time. And then we reflect on it and go like, oh, okay, again, we aren't a priority. So everyone, you'll be able to have a read of the article and have a look at what we think some of our priorities are. And also we provide you some really handy tips on how to create a little bit of political change in your area. Some tips on what things you can bring up.
I feel like I sometimes I start these as a bit of a rant, and we start with like, hey, fuck these people. But it's now a bit of a call in, right? Like we do very well, and we talk a lot about collaborating with people that may not have been collaborators previously, and that you want to be collaborators in the future. But yeah, I think we are getting a nice flow with these things, with the podcast, with anything we create. We've kind of previously done things in isolation together, like I'll do a thing or you'll do a thing, but it's under the same banner. I feel like we're getting better at the collaborative aspect of Give It To Me Bi, of like, hey, here's like, what are your top line thoughts? Okay, cool. Let's mash them together. Now that we've got a bit of a mash, let's come up with an outline. Now let's both provide notes on an outline. And then now that we have an outline and we've shuffled it around in the order, now let's expand. And I can see that you are very fired up in your notes as well. And I think what I'm really...
I know, here I am being like, you're very fired up, and then I get typing like, oh crap, this is actually a fiery topic.
Especially because like when you add notes to something I've started, it's always in red, which is a typical editing thing. But like, it's like, oh, there's fire.
There was even bold.
Yeah.
I used bold.
Which just gets
it's when italics come in.
Yeah.
That,
it gets me excited because one of the things that we've talked about previously and we'll be working on in the future is putting together a book and some more lengthy publications. And so it's nice to find a bit of a rhythm and a flow and process to this collaborative creation. I find it hard to do things in isolation, but I find it a different hard to do things with other people. And so it's nice to kind of, we're getting there. We're really starting to crack a bit of a puzzle.
So what you're saying is we've become a 2-person hive mind, almost like in Star Trek, almost like in Star Trek, the Borg. So we are a 2-person by Borg.
I feel like,
for all my Trekkies out there,
I feel like whatever bi book we write, for some reason there's going to be a fucking Star Trek chapter, and it's just going to the chapter
it's going to be
I
me
will
on
rip
the
out of the
front
copies that I give to people. Okay, let's do this thing.
I'm glad I got that.
So, like you mentioned at the top of the episode, some of our most popular content has been answering questions or providing opinions on common questions and myths about the bisexual community. You all seem to really eat it up, and it's a really good kind of conversation starter in our community areas on Facebook, our private community group, and the YouTube comment section, which actually a lot of you are getting quite active on YouTube. Thank you for joining us and commenting every week. So we're going to dive in. We've each sourced different questions. And some of the questions will have more thoughts from one person or the other, which I really like because it means that the other person has to think on their feet. Steve, why don't you kick us off with the first one?
Oh yeah, I'm going to start with a real light one here. This one really popped out at me. Bisexuality is only valid if it's political. And so this is the belief that being bi has to, for some reason, come with activism or radical visibility.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and having a political presence, being politically bi.
Okay.
And,
what's your perspective?
My perspective on that is choose your own adventure, for sure. I've chosen a pretty... I guess this is pretty political. Everything, the personal is political. I choose to be radically visible. I choose to be an activist. But I cannot do what I do without bi people being out there just living their lives, being themselves, being their true selves. We all have a place to play. And so I also hate that some bi people, and this might be a limitation to people coming out, right? Is like, do I have to be loud about it? Like,
if I come heard out, recently quite a few people saying that they hesitated coming out or haven't come out because they feel like they need to be marching or they need to be posting statuses about it, that kind of stuff. That's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, and like my answer to that is no, not at all. Just do whatever you want to do, babe. Don't let that limit you at all. And don't feel pressure. Like, I really I would hate to think that us speaking politically and making this like a big deal, like making something that is so simple, sexuality, a big deal. We've explained to everyone why it is in fact a big deal, but at your own individual level, like it's like, no, we do not want you to feel any pressure at all to do what we do, to do what others do whatever feels best for you.
Yeah, I like that you say the personal is political. We had a whole episode about that at the start of the year. And yes, just existing at all is political because we exist in a world under governments and under power, and power is how existence is manifested these days, right? Like it's a constant battle. So existing at all, whether you engage with politics, is still political. I have heard a slightly different version of this idea, is that queerness is political. And I think I would agree with that to a degree, is that there's like, oh, you could be part of the LGBTQIA plus community and cool, that's just, you're just existing, right? But then people who kind of own the term queer, particularly young folks, and particularly people who have reversed that meaning from a slur to something else, a reclamation, that is inherently political. And there is this idea that if you identify as queer, then you are. There is a bit of a value statement in that. There's a bit of a this is who I am and what I fight for kind of statement in that. And so you will more often than not hear the term queer in center to left kind of LGBTQIA plus communities. You hear it far less in a center to right communities. People will identify as gay or as bisexual or as lesbian. They will rarely identify as queer because I feel like it is more inherently a political identification as well as obviously a self-identification.
Yeah. I mean, it's a political term. It's a cultural term. It doesn't directly relate to anyone's specific sexuality or anything. It sort of indicates, like you said, their values, a shared value system amongst a community.
And it could definitely be
a good umbrella term.
Yeah, I think for me it's an umbrella term, but I think a lot of people might disagree with me. Maybe there are people who listen to this who are a little bit more right-leaning.
Feel free to disagree.
Yeah, again, we're not the bearers of all information or anything like that. But yeah, I feel like it is queer feels political. Bisexual is just a description. It's just a label, right? You can choose to lean into a political aspect of it. Absolutely. It is inherent in any existence. And so whether you kind of rally behind that political existence is completely up to you.
Chad, what is one of your...
one of my ones. Okay. We've discussed this before. And on our actually probably most popular episode or most listened to episode about straight passing privilege, we touched on this a little bit. But Steve, why do so many bisexuals end up in quote unquote straight relationships? This is so loaded. There's so many layers to this, right? Could
I give you a really basic answer?
Go for it.
Because I want to play with bits that I don't have.
Ooh, how interesting. Yeah, wow. I didn't think that would be our first take on the question.
I said basic.
Yeah, I think there's
also,
so many
you weren't
factors.
expecting that, people, were you? No soapbox there.
I think there's just so many influencing factors, right? There is just more kind of opportunity, I guess, to be in a straight presenting or mixed gender relationship. There's also so much baggage around the idea of compulsory heterosexuality. And so we are taught and we are brought up in a society that encourages, even discourages the opposite. And there is this perceived safety and social safety in a more accepted kind of relationship. It doesn't mean that you will actually experience safety, but there's a perceived safety. I think there are some other things that, like, a lot of people come out as bisexuals later in life. And so a lot of people may be in relationships that are potentially straight presenting, and they discover their queer identity, their queer life perspective, whatever it might be, while already in straight presenting relationships. There's also a lot of stigma in the queer community. If you turn up in queer spaces, which are, let's face it, gay spaces or lesbian spaces, you are going to hear all the time, because it is a very common trope and stereotype that you are there for a good time, not a long time, that you aren't a real queer person, that you are just playing dress-ups in the queer community. When you hear that all the time, that sucks. And so you might go and look for the opposite. You might not receive affirmation and acceptance, but you may experience indifference, right? There's a lot of people who don't talk about it. It's not a topic of conversation, so you can just be in it instead of being questioned and challenged on it.
It's the numbers game. It's the pressure from the outside. There can even be something said about internalized biphobia as well in there. So many factors, and so many factors that are outside of one's control as well.
I think also media would play a big part in that as well.
Absolutely,
we have all consumed, as anyone in the queer community, a pretty ubiquitous media landscape of straight appearing relationships. And so that's what love looks like. That's what relationships looks like. That's what companionship looks like. And so when you're going out in the world, a lot of, and I know that a lot of queer women experience this, they might have a crush on another woman, but then they struggle to get past friendship into romantic relationships, because it's like, oh, I've never seen what this looks like. I don't know how to break that barrier, but I've seen it a gazillion times with men. And so there's this like, cool, I want it. I'm here for it, but I've never been shown a pathway on how to step into my more like or gay presenting version of my bisexuality.
And when you're that, for want of a better term, nervous about the situation, and you go into a queer space and you face discrimination because you want to be your true self, you will tell people you're bisexual. You could lie for a more comfy ride, but I don't think anyone should have to lie about who they are, let alone queer people. And bi people are queer people. And then they face biphobia within that community. We're not tipping the scales in favor. You know, the whole thing. We've done a whole episode on the myth of straight privilege. It's like people will yell straight privilege at bi people, not understanding that they are the enforcers of some of these things, some of the factors that go into it. So, you know, a lot of self-reflection there.
What's your next one, Steve?
Oh, let's go with this one. So, bisexual people owe you a detailed breakdown of their dating history.
Where does that come from? Why do we hear this?
So relevant. Like, I have felt so much pressure my entire life to prove my bisexuality. And if there is not a man and a woman and a trans and a non-binary person in front of me, I cannot prove it. So I feel this pressure to like either go through a log of my dating or sex history, which, by the way, is really bloody intrusive. Or like go through I'll make a funny joke being like, if you want me to prove my bisexuality, look at my camera roll or look at my Instagram follows. But then I need to stop saying that, Chad, because I'm then buying into this whole idea that bi people owe others a detailed breakdown.
That even in addressing it, you're reinforcing it.
Like I'm having a laugh about it, and I actually really need to cut that out because it's not okay. It's not okay to ask anyone for a detailed breakdown of their dating history or sexual history.
What's a good counter to that? I've heard people say recently the best way to get someone to check it is like, hey, did you mean to say that out loud? Did you?
Oh my God. That's amazing. Sorry, did you mean to?
Did you mean to say that out loud? Or ask that again and hear whether or not you think that's appropriate?
That is so...
Don't answer the question. Ask why they thought it was okay to ask the question.
That's intense. So I've been in situations where I've been in front of a camera being interviewed and been asked these questions.
For a TV show.
Yeah, right? Yeah, for a TV show, like basically, or for like a really important project. And you raise up and you're like, and I literally, so I provided feedback afterwards and I'm like, you didn't ask the gay men or the lesbians about their dating history, about like their sexual proclivities. Why is it okay to ask bi people? And it's not.
You know, it kind of reminds me of in that moment is like the red carpets of Hollywood. And all the women would get asked, oh, so who are you wearing? Tell us about your outfit. Not about the amazing project that they've just spent the year working on and promoting all that kind of stuff. Who are you wearing? And then the men wouldn't get asked that. And then when some people got frustrated and said, you're not asking the men that, then there's a big hullabaloo about like, oh my gosh, so sensitive. But then when people just said, oh, why do you think that's okay to ask that? People go like, oh, okay, let's move on. Okay, like, because it wasn't a comparison thing, because I feel like a lot of people get really up in arms about like, why do you have to compare yourself to the gays? Why do you have to compare yourself to the blah, blah, blah? Like, it's not a competition. Interesting. I've not thought about it that way.
So this is something that's always like come up throughout my life. And I think in becoming just more and more like comfortable with myself and just realizing that I don't have to prove anything. And that feeling first came when I found my local bi+ community, when I met you, Chad. You know, that was the first time I realized, oh, I actually don't have to prove anything to anyone. And I'll see other baby bis like doing that hard slog of trying to prove it. And, you know, when their numbers don't you know, fulfill the questioner's need for information or need to prove something, see their embarrassment. And I just pull them aside. I'm like, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to have touched anyone for you to know that you're bisexual. You are perfect just the way you are.
I think we're in a unique position because we talk about this so openly that people feel very comfortable to ask us. And so we do entertain some of these more uncomfortable or inappropriate questions because we've kind of signed up for that. But I have found that sometimes this question or this line of thinking happens without us in the room, right? So, or less in conversation. So one, I think it's for baby buyers who are coming out who feel unjustified in their label choice. Oh, I can't say I'm bisexual because I have an X, Y, Z, right? So that's really upsetting. And let me tell you, you are so valid no matter what your experience is. No one is questioning the straight kid coming out as straight because they've never slept with someone of the opposite gender, right? So you're totally fine, babe. Do your thing. The other thing is, like, I've seen other people question others when they're not in the room, when they're kind of kikiing about somebody, when they go, oh, have you heard? Sarah said she's bisexual, but she's dated men her whole life. You know what I mean? It's very like speaking of somebody, not with somebody. And that's why it's so important to, one, be very comfortable in that kind of conversation, that language, but also for allies as well. Because so often these are conversations happening without bisexual people in the room, or maybe not out bisexuals in the room. And for somebody else to say, hey, that's actually not how bisexuality works. You actually don't need to have done X, Y, Z, A, B, C with anybody. A, B, C could be really fun though. So like, slay. But you don't actually have to have done anything or had any particular experience except for knowing yourself that it is true, that feels right for you. And also recognize that shit's fluid. So like it could be feel right today, the day you say it, but maybe not in a month. That's fine, babe, too. That's also great. But to be able to call people out of like, I've got a really good Judy who is gay and was living with somebody who is bisexual and knows all the work that I do in the bisexual space. And I was like, oh, I saw that your housemate came out as bi. And they're like, yeah, I think they're just trying it on. They're not. It's like, babe, this is me you're talking to. Like, what are you talking about? Like, check yourself. They're like, oh yeah, fuck. Oh yeah, you're totally right. That always comes to me.
The power of our presence really reminds people. Honestly, I personally don't encounter too much biphobia in spaces anymore because people know that I'm there and I'm listening.
Yeah.
But you actually really, really hit something there with me. I have thought of a second step for allyship because it reminds me of a time that my friend told me, a time he defended me. This is a gay friend of mine, and I don't know, they were at a party or something, and for some reason my name came up. That makes me feel uncomfortable, but it happens. And someone saying, and the person said to my friend, like, oh, he's really gay. And my friend, who has met my ex-girlfriend, my past girlfriends, past female partners, knows very well what I get up to or what I used to get up to. And he was just like, no, he's really bi. And because he sleeps with women, he does all this sort of stuff. He sleeps with men, and it was buying into the idea that you have to have the
so great that you turned up for me, but you also
you turned up for me.
You confirmed the problematic notion of it.
And so this is where the next step of allyship comes in, would be, instead of that response, to actually respond to someone who's being biphobic, to actually say, well, that's actually not how it works. You really, you don't have to have proved it to anyone. There's nothing to prove. Bisexuality is more than just that. Can it, or your response, did you mean to ask that question?
That's a good one for allies, because I know that a lot of allies mean well, but also they don't live this, so they're not like keeping up to date with all the latest words and whatever. And so just saying, did you mean to ask that out loud is a really good way to be an ally, but not have to feel like you have to read the fucking history books to be able to like defend yourself or stand in that stick. This one's interesting because I see this trope a bit, but I've not personally experienced it. So why do a lot of bisexual couples only look for women on dating apps? And I've got thoughts and opinions, but what do you think?
That's really deep. And I know what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay, maybe I'll kick us off, right?
No. I'm good. It obviously depends on the sexualities of the couple.
There we are. That's a good one.
Totally, because bi plus people very uniquely within the queer community are often in mixed sexuality relationships. So we know about mixed gender relationships, but mixed sexuality relationships. And that's where, for example, myself, I'm a bisexual man. My partner is a gay man. So we are in a mixed sexuality relationship. And I think you'll be similar to Chad. And that's very common. I mean, again, it's a numbers game.
And we know that women are more likely to be out as bisexual than men. So even if they were, by some miraculous intervention, in a bi-for-bi relationship, which we love, slay, more often than not, if you are in a bi-adjacent relationship, it's going to be the woman who is. And so the maths, and that would mean that if they're looking for a third in any capacity, it would be a woman. There is also another potential reality here, which we've seen played out in media, but also definitely in real life. I know plenty of people who fall under this, is even in straight relationships where both partners are heterosexual, there is often, through many different influences, a pressure for women to appease to the male gaze and the sexual desires of their male partners. That can be through threesomes. And because they are a straight male, that probably won't be with another man. Most likely that can happen. But there's a bit of a power imbalance there where they might be a straight couple looking for a third to appease the straight male partner in that situation. This can fall under sexual coercion, sexual violence, or just someone willing to happily experiment for the relationship, the loving relationship that they're in. There's like many different shades of grey amongst this, but that could also be another factor. And yeah, so there is also that kind of unicorn hunter stereotype involved here, where a lot of couples are actually looking for bisexual somebody to fill a gap in their third scenario, and that is often a bisexual woman. Yeah, there's a few different potential layers here. Do you have any other thoughts, takes?
Yeah, unicorn hunting is like the big thing that also pops out here. But, also the term unicorn is being reclaimed, especially by men, because we, the fact that we're asking this question, why do couples seek a woman for the third? There's almost a move towards equity, which ignoring the problematic aspects of unicorn hunting, trying to increase the desirability of bi men as well. So I know I'm shifting the topic here from the desire, the male gaze for women, the trying to utilizing bisexual women as a tool for someone else's relationship. Like that's all really problematic stuff. But there's a reclaiming of the term unicorn as well. Like when I was single, I was very proudly a unicorn. Just like, pick me. But, you have to temper that with an understanding that there are a lot of problematic dynamics going on in that situation.
Yeah, I think this is one that I see has been asked because I feel like people perceive it to be problematic, but really the things that have influenced it are probably more problematic than the actual manifestation of it. And I see that, I feel like this is true of most questions and stereotypes around bisexual people, is they see a manifestation of something and go, bisexual bad, and they don't care to look at the macro or dig deeper into the history to see how something came to be.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of, not the whole point, but a large point of this podcast is to provide those contexts, because a lot of people aren't. They go, straight passing privilege. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, maybe not. Or they're unicorn hunting. Well, maybe not. Like there's so many other factors there. I think you've got a really interesting one here that I've not kind of heard it in this way before, but I think ties into what was kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, into the why do so many people end up in straight relationships, or maybe even in relationships at all, is bisexuality disappears with age. Do you think that's tied to a relationship ideology, or what's your view on this?
Bisexuality disappears with age. Okay, fascinating. I am going to use my own dad as an example. So when I came out as bi, a couple of years later, I mean, if you've been listening to the pod, you know all about my very bisexual family. Most of my siblings, plus my father, plus myself. And when my own dad, who's 70 something, I know I should know the actual number, but anyway. He came out to me and he always framed it in the I love your mum. I've been with your mum for 40 years. Like she's all I care about. And it's like, yes. But who are you? Like who who are you? What is your sexuality? Fully respect that you're monogamous and in a different gender relationship. And he would then go into his past and tell me about his past experiences and his very bisexual past. And it's like, okay, so maybe back then you would have identified, and now you've lived this life in a different gender relationship and not necessarily had to scrutinize your sexuality. And then, and so probably would have just gone on until the end of his life, just happy with that, and perhaps never identifying as bisexual. And it actually took someone close to him to speak openly and proudly about it for him to scrutinize it ever so slightly. And so
it's interesting. It kind of plays into the résumé thing again. Yeah, it's like, okay, yes, I did work experience in bisexuality, but my career has been in this monogamous, straight presenting relationship. Yeah. Therefore, I don't count my work experience as my career title. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So his bisexuality never disappeared. His bisexuality did not disappear with age, and bisexuality does not disappear with age. Fluidity is absolutely real. The bicycle is absolutely real, and that bicycle can last a month, like it does for me often, or it can last a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, and that's all very valid. But there's no golden rule that it disappears with age.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're so tied. I think also that what I was trying to say before about like the relationship ideal, we've kind of been told that you need to partner up in life, that you are there's some kind of value or success metric of like finding somebody for you or somebodies for you. And one, it's not true. Two, there is a more recent movement in things like people who want to be child-free or childless or partner-free or partnerless, and just, hey, I'm happy to be single, or I'm happy to, and that is fine. I'm not looking to partner up. And it's not only those people that get to say I'm bisexual. I get to say it. I've been in a monogamous relationship for nearly 13 years now. I am as bi as they come. You know what I mean? Because I say so. And yeah, it's interesting that the résumé thing plays a part of it. The stereotypes, the straight part. It's funny that they all are almost different backdoors to the same idea.
Backdoors.
No, I knew you would say that. That's so funny.
There's always a backdoor.
Should we do a bit of a rapid fire, Steve? Let's get a couple questions out. Do you think there are more bisexual people than we think?
Absolutely. So many more. One little explanation, there's no reason why there'd be more bi women than there are bi men, but we currently know there are 3 times as many bi women as there are bi men. So when we finally achieve equity between men and women in bisexuality, again, sorry for using binary language, it's how the stats are laid out, we would have a huge increase in bi numbers. But also we know that the broader population of bi people is much larger. The sky's the limit.
Slay.
Chad, does bisexuality cause mental health issues?
Ooh, no, bisexuality doesn't cause health conditions or mental health conditions. We've just done some really fantastic episodes on this. What does happen, though, is bisexual people experience large rates of minority stress in multiple different ways and different manifestations. And these things can lead to health outcomes that are undesirable. And so if you're interested in more conversation around the health crisis, the bisexual plus health crisis, please listen to our last few episodes. They're really interesting, really intriguing, and we need to do something about it. So the more educated we all are on it, the better. Okay, I like this one. Steve, does the rhetoric around sexuality is a choice come from people who are bisexual but don't realize they're bisexual because they themselves might have made a choice to pick a side? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
Yes. Are the people asking it bisexual? I don't know. Only they can tell us that. But I think I've experienced a lot of negative bi stereotypes coming from people who have later come out as bi to me. who often, and this is purely my own experience, coming from perhaps older people within, say, the queer community, who, because of historical biphobia, found that they had to pick a side. And because they had to do that, others should do that as well. Or like, I struggled, I got through it, I am now, for example, a happy gay man in a long relationship. Why do you have to make a big deal about being bi? Like, no. And it's like, no, the world's changed, and this is actually how you can live this life. And they will, and then what's later told to me is like, okay, yeah, if I had another go at life, I wish that I could have lived more openly like you do.
Yeah. I think this is a really interesting niche potential avenue of this rhetoric. I do not think it is the way that this rhetoric has come to be. I think there is a lot of stigma and a lot of religious dogma and a lot of societal pressure that has created this rhetoric. And I think there are potentially cohorts of our community who may have, quote unquote, picked a side, who may reinforce this rhetoric. I have received this from many people as well. And so I think you're right. I think that exists, but I don't think it is the origin of said stereotype.
No. So actually, in our responses there, because we had different responses, in all of these, there is a thread of, say, some truth. So there's a basis of some of these things, but they are not rules. They are not set. Like, it's like, yes, you could say that bisexuality causes mental health issues. That's a very, very surface level way of looking at it. But actually, here are the reasons behind this. It's, correlation is not causation, all that sort of stuff. All right, Chad, is there only one correct definition of bisexuality? Also, I realize that the answer to each of these is no. So, Chad, respond to this. There's only one correct definition of bisexuality.
It's a good question. Because you and I have trotted out a very useful definition of bisexuality in kind of this advocacy space that we exist in, because it is very useful, it is very well received, and it is more or less accepted by most bisexual people who have a bi experience. And that is, I believe, I am bisexual because I see in myself the ability to be attracted to people of more than one gender, not necessarily at the same time, not necessarily in the same way, not necessarily in the same degree, right? It's a very useful quote by the very pioneering Robin Oakes. However, it is not the only definition of bisexual. A lot of people have different definitions of it. Some people say it is a binary gender experience, right? Which I disagree with, though there are people who live that experience. I disagree with it on a value basis. I disagree with its existence, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right. So some people have attraction to cis men and cis women. That is their lived experience that exists. However,
that's one
I
experience
do not believe,
within bisexuality.
Yeah, I do not believe that is the definition of bisexuality, but it falls under the umbrella of bisexual definitions. Absolutely. Though there are many different statistical and community definitions. Steve, I know that you have a few opinions of this as well.
Yeah. So then there's like the more academic way of looking at it, if for want of a better term, in the actual word bisexual. A lot of people get tripped up that the bi means two genders, but it never has, because the founder of basically sexuality theory, Alfred Kinsey, developed the 0 to 6 scale of totally heterosexual to totally homosexual, with the in-between being bisexual. And so the bi and bisexual, in fact, refers to two sexualities. That's the cold, hard definition. The bi has never meant to refer to gender. It's to mean the relations between the individual and others.
And I guess on some other academic planes and definitions, there's also bisexual experience, bisexual behaviors, bisexual attitudes, that kind of thing, depending on a particular time frame, particular area and topic of discussion or study. And so there's so many different ways. Some people say they're bisexual because I just fall in love with people. I just have an attraction to people. And some people don't use definitions. And then there's all the many different things that fall under the bisexual umbrella. Actually, that itself is a different definition. The umbrella use of the term bisexual, meaning multigender attracted, that can mean so many different things.
Mhm.
And so, no, I don't believe that there is one single definition.
No. But the implication of the question is also that there are incorrect definitions of bisexual. And in my own little world, my own little bubble, I do irk at a global. Someone can have a personal definition of their own bisexuality to mean they are attracted to, say, men and women, but to use that as a global definition, I say would be wrong, because bisexuality, by its cold-hearted definition, is inclusive of trans and gender diverse people and non-binary people, and to have that wider, more historically accepted and community accepted definition, as opposed to that really specific definition. It's be cautious when you are defining entire communities, especially one as diverse as bisexual people, bi+ people.
Exactly. The only thing in common that we have is that we use the word. That's kind of the only thing we have in common.
Yeah.
And that some of us have a hesitation around using the word. We use that particular Robin Oakes definition because it's very practical when it comes to advocacy and communicating the needs of our very broad community, and mobilizing behind it. So it's very, very useful, as well as very inclusive.
Yeah. And it's by Nana, Robin Oakes, by Nana. We love it.
That's it. Okay. We've just done rapid fire. We're going to do rapid fire because they're good questions and they deserve to be answered in some form. But these are kind of going to be some yes, no.
Yeah, we're going to give really thoughtful, descriptive responses to all of them.
We're going to have one word, but really thoughtful tone. The tone we're going to imply a lot.
Yeah. All right. Bisexual people don't need specific resources. They just need general LGBTQ ones, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Do bisexual people only exist in urban or Western cultures?
Absolutely not. Chad, are bisexual men a threat to women's health?
I'm disgusted by the implication. These bisexuals, we all know that internalized biphobia is just self-doubt and insecurity, right?
No. Chad. Bi-identity becomes less relevant once you're in a queer relationship. Is that correct?
Yeah, nah. For our American listeners, yeah, nah is an Australianism.
For no. But nah, yeah, means yeah.
Yeah. Steve?
Yeah.
Is it biphobic to not want to date bisexual people?
Yeah. Rapid fire is really hard, Chad.
I know.
Tell me, there's no such thing as bi+ culture.
Maybe?
Oh my God. Again, the complexity of these questions.
The complexity of these answers.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a bi+ culture, and we're building it, baby.
That's it. Well, thank you for joining us for some questions, some rapid questions and some rapid questions. Rapid is interesting. Thank you so much for joining us again for the first episode back in a while. Thank you again for all the grace and kindness that you've shown myself and my family, and for Steve as well, over the last few weeks. And honestly, just you're the fucking best. So thank you. Steve, any parting words?
We can't wait to join you all on the next episode of Give It To Me Bye, where we give it to you. You bye.
Bye. We give it to you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. See ya.
It's always been you. I once sent Heidi flowers and she told me to grow up. You see, I loved Heidi before Heidi loved me. She knew it. Everyone fucking knew it. For 3 long, flirty years, friends kept saying, just get on with it. Her family kept asking, who's this boy who's definitely not your boyfriend, but still turns up at Christmas lunch? So one day I sent a bouquet to her work, and she called me and said, I'm sorry, but you need to grow up. I know what I want, but I'm not sure you do. So off I went, heartbroken, to grow up. And eventually, while I was busy growing, our love did too. We kissed for the first time on the 1st of September 2012. And just to remove any doubt, I blurted, Heidi Delbo, full named her, will you be my girlfriend? She said yes, and Canberra let out a collective thank fuck. That night, my band, Drawing North, had a CD launch, and on the way home, we pulled the car over, headlights off, and set the ground rules. We are in this for the long run. Dating is not the goal, life is. No going to sleep angry. Nothing is off limits in conversation. And then I added, if it's okay with you, I've loved you for such a long time already. I'm still going to say it, even if you're not ready to say it back. She said, that's okay, I love you too. We were disgustingly in love. So much so that our friends that begged us to get together quickly begged us to tone it down. I love you, babe. I love you, babe. Jake in particular told us to shut the fuck up about it. We came up with a solution to be palatable among our friends. A double hand squeeze. A silent code that said all the things without inviting heckling. 2 quick squeezes in a cafe queue or side stage or in a hospital, offered and then returned. We never wasted the chance to say I love you, even if it was wordless. After that, I learned that my job wasn't just to love Heidi, but to love her well. Loving well isn't the off-the-shelf, default settings, cookie-cutter kind of love. It's tailor-made, cut to a single person, a single body, and a single heart. It's learning the exact tilt of her humour, the foods that make her light up, the things that soothed her when the world was too loud. It's knowing every place she was gloriously, beautifully human and loving her through that humanity. Years ago, I stumbled on a word in a book called The Lover's Dictionary, which I had stolen from my friend Alice. The word? Contiguous, touching, side by side, sharing a boundary. That was us. Like 2 neighbouring puzzle pieces. Other pieces might have a nearly fit or been forced to fit, but we clicked, and suddenly the picture on the front made sense. We filled the empty spaces of each other's lives with comfort and colour, and the image emerged was home. It wasn't an accidental love. We weren't soulmates. It wasn't destiny and it wasn't fate. We made a life that felt like parallel lines, running together, looking out at the world from slightly different angles, but growing in the same direction. Love is contrapuntal melodies. Love is benefit of the doubt. It's a negotiation. Love is more than merely making each other feel good all the time. Love is choosing and choosing and choosing. Love is on purpose. Perfectly contiguous. Loving you is who I am. To spend almost 13 years growing with someone is the honour of a lifetime. Love isn't static, it molts and molts again. It outgrows its own clothes. We change jobs, postcodes and beliefs. We were lost and found, melted down and recreated again and again. My goal has always been to offer a love that would become a fertile soil where every new iteration of Heidi could take root and flourish. And I fell in love with each version of her without a 3-year waiting period. I fell in love with the early one who told me to grow up, the one who hosted dinner parties like it was an Olympic sport, the shady one-upper who always snuck in a joke at my expense under her breath, especially in the company of some particularly shady friends, and the mother that emerged after a 54-hour-long labour, bathed in a majesty I'd never seen before. Each time life asked, "Who are you now?" Heidi answered boldly, and I hope she knew that I loved each version of her like it was my whole damn job. If you knew Heidi, you already know there's no default settings. Everything was intentional. She could romanticize the mundane and make the exceptional feel effortless. She loved texture. She always said, "I love a bit of crunch," when she had a salad. She cultivated memories. She didn't wait for life to be meaningful. She seasoned it. She plated it. She lit the candles, and she called us all to the table. Over the last week, I've heard from so many of you. Workmates, school friends, Bungadore friends, Northside girls, church people, Sydney people, sports girl years, our fucking good people crew, the Labour Party and more. Each message its own little warm fire, and the most common sentiment, she made me feel seen and welcome. She'd be so happy to know that's how she made each of you felt. If you ever left Heidi's company feeling bigger and braver and more yourself, that wasn't an accident. She chose you. And she knew that you chose her back. The last few months have been really hard. And I'm sorry, Debbie, I'm going to say it. The last few months have been a Dallas's bedtimes is one of my favourite things. Since he was born, I would sing him to sleep. Or Heidi would. Heidi would sing "Can't Help Falling in Love" by Elvis Presley, or Wise Men Say, as Dallas calls it. I would sing Ben Abraham's "If I Didn't Love You," among a slew of musical theatre greats. But I would sing very loudly. If you know me, I don't know how to be quiet. When Heidi was unwell, loud wasn't really something we could have in the house. So at bedtime, Dallas and I began making up stories. Like little Dungeons and Dragons stories where Dallas gets to choose what happens next. I randomly just started one day, and the next day I thought, why don't I pick up from yesterday's story and keep going? It follows Dallas, a little red panda adventurer who travels with their new friend Fanula, gathering map pieces looking for Fanula's lost home, where she's looking for her mum. When Heidi passed, I had no fucking idea how I would tell Dallas. That night, I told him that he did it. He found all the map pieces, and they're on the way to the lost city to find Fanula's mum. He found a waterfall where they snuck in behind the water, moved a boulder out of the way of a huge door, and on the other side was this beautiful field, a paradise. that had a beautiful cabin and barn, just like one that Heidi had dreamt of. Fionnuala was so excited to see her mum again. She ran towards the cabin, but before she got there, a huge light shone out of all the windows before shooting up into the sky, where Fionnuala's mummy became Mummy Star. Every night, Dallas and I say goodnight to the moon, say goodnight to the stars, and now we say goodnight to Mummy Star. Fuck. He doesn't fully understand. I think that's okay for now. But one day, I know that he will know her better than any of us did, because his idea of her will be a beautiful mosaic of all the stories and love that we shared with him. I'm almost jealous. After becoming a mum, Heidi was having a hard time finding who she was. She was reluctant to be only mum. She didn't want to lose herself in a title that didn't represent her complete self. Returning to work didn't feel right. Going back to the Labour Party in a role that just wasn't fit for her. So she went looking. On this journey, she learned that mother flamingos lose their colour because they pour so much of themselves into feeding their chicks. And that once the chicks are ready to look after themselves, they get their colour back, they get their pink back. That image stuck with Heidi. She gave so much time, energy, talent, sleep, and whole bags of love to Dallas, to me, to friends, and to work. In the last 4 months, she said, I'm fighting to get my pink back. And wherever she is now, I know that she has. I said I wouldn't talk much about Heidi's illness, and I won't. That is not who she was. But I do want to share a little bit thing. In the last stretch, Heidi was in a lot of pain. And holding each other became really hard, really quickly. We couldn't hug. We couldn't lie together. And so much of my time was spent looking after Dallas. Cancer and a toddler do not mix. Our bodies missed each other. They ached for one another. When she left us and her pain was gone, I climbed into bed beside her and finally held her with nothing between us. On behalf of all of us, I said, if this is a prank, you're a fucking bitch. It's not funny. You can stop now. It's not a prank. But it was so nice to be with her again, contiguous. And I squeezed her hand. That's the only time in 13 years she didn't squeeze my back. I desperately need to honour someone who has been a force of nature. Debbie. You've held me and Dallas together. Your strength, your love, your willingness to stand in the of it all. I'm sorry again. In all the hard places, I could not have done this without you. You are my family, my rock, and only you and I will ever know what this was like. Thank you. I don't ever want Heidi to become the thing that people avoid mentioning because they're worried they'll upset me or us. Please tell me when something is so Heidi. Send the photo, ask the question. Invite the memory, there's no wrong time. Heidi, my love. Thank you for telling me to grow up. I've done so much growing up lately. All I've ever wanted to do is make you proud, and I hope I made you proud. I'll continue trying to do so. I will help Dallas know his mummy's star and see her in everything. Everyone here would know that I'm a huge musical theatre fan. You might not know that Heidi was also a pretty fucking big musical theatre fan. I'm just louder than Heidi. Recently, one of my favourite theatres, the Hayes Theatre in Sydney, put on one of my favourite shows, Merrily We Roll Along, by one of my favourite creators, Stephen Sondheim. Stephen had just passed away the week before, so it was a particularly poignant time. The story is about three friends who, through a whole bunch of life, leave each other and come back together again, multiple times, over and over. And there's one thing that they say to each other every time, a toast to each other. Like a truth, an unavoidable truth. This toast became a family toast. We say it at dinner, we say it in fleeting moments together. And on the Monday when we lost Heidi, my mum had to take Dallas out of the hospital. And I started the toast. I said, Dallas, here's to us. And Heidi responded, who's like us? And Dallas said, damn few. Those were the last words they said to each other. There was no one like you. Everyone in this room is our family. So I want to toast to us. Here's to us. Who's like us? Damn few. Thank you.